want me to... So I don't have to be on camera. But you want me to talk over it. All right, for those of us just joining in, there's a high-speed chase going on in Los Angeles right now. Now, this high-speed chase started in the Palmdale area and has taken police through multiple freeways and multiple parts of the Los Angeles area. This SUV has reached speeds of around 100 miles per hour, we're hearing, and has nearly crashed into cars, has driven on the wrong sides of the streets in the Hollywood area. As you can see, the chase continues. The SUV is now near Century City. So he started in the Palmdale area. So for those of you who don't know the Los Angeles area, Palmdale to Century City is at least, I would say, about 40 miles minimum. So he's traveled a far distance, taking multiple freeways from the 14 freeway, the 5 freeway. He went from the 5 freeway to the southbound 170 in the San Fernando Valley. From the 170, he got onto the 101 freeway, ended up in the Hollywood area, speeding the wrong way on several busy streets, narrowly missing pedestrians and vehicles at different intersections. And now he is in the Century City area, which, you know, for those of you, he's traveled many LA surface street areas to get there. In the Century City area of streets such as Santa Monica Boulevard, that's a high traffic street, so who knows if he's going to go there, the danger, the threat to other drivers if he's continuing at the high speed that he was going at earlier. All right, now I believe that's him. We see someone running on the ground. It's unclear whether that person exit is from the SUV. Helicopters are circling the area trying to locate exactly where that driver went. Now, just to recap, for those of you just joining in, we were following a high-speed pursuit in the Los Angeles area. Now, this driver took police on a high... Okay, now we're seeing people running. There's 4 people running on the street. Now they're running. Oh, it looks like those were officers running. Now it's unclear if those were officers or those were the people in the SUV that have taken an SUV. All right, guys, we'll continue to watch this situation as it unfolds. The latest I've heard is that the SUV driver has fled the SUV on foot, and helicopters are patrolling the Century City area trying to locate the driver. Now we're hearing that according to CHP officers, there were 2 people in the Ford Explorer, and this chase started in the Antelope Valley area off the 14 freeway, reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are following a high-speed chase that went from the Antelope Valley area of Los Angeles all the way to Hollywood and then to Century City, where it has now turned into a foot chase when the driver of the SUV fled from the vehicle. Now, it's surprising that thankfully no one was injured. There were no major crashes involved in this chase. Now, this driver covered miles and miles of the greater Los Angeles area, going from the 14 freeway to the 5 freeway to the 101. At least, I would say about at least 50 miles, if not more, driving through the area. And now helicopters are searching for that driver who has fled on foot. Now, the driver took police on this high-speed chase, reaching speeds of more than 100 miles per hour on the freeway, even driving on the wrong side of the streets in the Hollywood area. The driver took police from the Antelope Valley area through the San Fernando Valley into Hollywood and then into the West LA area. Excuse me, now we're hearing reports from local news stations in Los Angeles that are saying that this is the Culver City area, not the Century City area. Culver City is a few miles south of the Century City area, still on the west side of Los Angeles. So that's even further than what was previously reported Century City. So as you can see, this high-speed chase covered many miles and now has resulted in a pursuit on foot after the driver parked his vehicle in a parking lot in Culver City and just ran. The parking lot believed to be that of an apartment complex in the area. For those of you it looks like police are continuing to look for the driver of that SUV that led them on a high-speed chase covering miles and miles of the Los Angeles area at speeds of over 100 miles per hour. Now, the chase started in the Palmdale area and went through the San Fernando Valley, then through Hollywood streets. In fact, in the Hollywood area, the SUV driver even drove on the wrong side of the road in some areas, nearly clipping pedestrians and other cars at different intersections. The SUV then continued to drive and ended up in the Culver City area, where he then parked his car, or whatever car he's driving rather, in an apartment complex parking lot and fled on foot. Now police are searching for the driver of this SUV, who has fled on foot in the Culver City area of Los Angeles. Now for those of you who don't know the Los Angeles area too well, Palmdale is nowhere near Culver City. This isn't a chase of 5, 6, 7 miles. We're talking miles, in the double digits. I would say, 60 miles at least we're covering. So this was a high-speed chase covering many miles of the greater Los Angeles area. This car went through multiple freeways, side streets throughout a very busy part of Los Angeles. Surprisingly, no one was hit, no cars, or rather we have no reports of any injuries, no reports of any pedestrians or other vehicles that were hit in the pursuit. Now our news chopper is just flying over the area, watching to see what will happen next. Police will find the driver of that SUV who fled on foot after taking them on a more than 60-mile high-speed chase through the greater Los Angeles area. Now, again, for those of you just tuning in, there was a high-speed chase in Los Angeles area that's been going on for at least, the last hour. Started in the Palmdale area. The driver took police on the 14 freeway, the 5 freeway, the 170, 101, exited on Hollywood streets, even driving on the wrong side of the road while in Hollywood. Now the driver took police on a high-speed chase through neighborhood roads. We're seeing this. Okay. We've now identified that the driver is on the roof of a building, or the person that we believe is the driver of that SUV. He is on the roof of a building. It looks like it could be an apartment complex. Many apartment complexes in LA have roof access. It looks like he was carrying something. It's unclear where he went, if he went back down the stairs, or if he's kneeling, hiding. We see the shadow. We see him. There he is. It appears the man is just walking on the roof of an apartment complex in Culver City. It's unclear what the man is doing exactly. It looks like he might be trying to board the door and block it so that no one can reach him on the roof of this apartment complex. Looks like he's putting heavy material outside the door. He has boards there, so he may just be trying to block the door or create some sort of weapon-like situation in case law enforcement does reach him on that roof. Now again, for those of you just tuning in, we were watching a high-speed pursuit that was taking place in Los Angeles, and the driver took police on a high-speed pursuit, reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour, spanning a more than 60-mile area of the Los Angeles greater area. It started in the Palmdale area of Los Angeles in the Antelope Valley, and now has ended in the Culver City area, where the driver of the SUV parked the vehicle and began fleeing on foot. Now we have identified the man who is believed to be the driver of that SUV, and it appears that he is standing and hiding on the roof of an apartment complex in Culver City. You can see him there sitting in front of a door. Earlier we saw him stacking what appeared to be heavy material in front of the door. It is unclear whether he was doing that to block anyone from opening the door, or if he was just, now he's sitting there. Maybe he was looking for a place to sit. But it looks like he is trying his best to avoid being caught. Now the driver was driving a white Ford Explorer through the streets of Los Angeles on multiple freeways, even driving on the wrong side of streets in Hollywood, narrowly missing pedestrians and crosswalks, and narrowly, just barely escaping collisions with other cars, even in neighborhood areas we were seeing.
So we've been watching this along with everybody who's on our YouTube channel and on Twitter. It's kind of interesting when you see this guy's just up there sitting there, and the police obviously coming up with a plan to try to figure out how to get to him out of that spot. It looked like he was at the rooftop access to where, obviously, after the high-speed chase, he's trying to hide from the cops, but with the helicopter, they know exactly where he is.
Right. It's not like we can't find him anymore. It's just a matter of time before the cops actually get to the roof of that complex.
We saw him get those cinder blocks that were holding down a satellite dish and take them over there, trying to apparently block the door from those SWAT officers. But as we know, they're heavily armed. They've got barricades. They'll get to him. They're maybe just trying to wait him out,
Right. He can't go anywhere. There's no escaping it.
And I didn't see exactly where he ditched the car, but obviously the police are probably focusing on trying to get him now, making sure there was nobody else inside the car with this guy. And you know LA pretty well, so these areas that lots of apartment complexes around there, places for him to try to hide, and he picked the one spot where he's the most obvious. He's up on top of the roof.
I know it. Reports are saying that he parked in an apartment complex parking lot and then fled on foot. I heard earlier reports that there were 2 people in the car, according to CHP, but we haven't directly communicated with them.
Well, the good news in something like this is it looks like, we're not hearing of anybody hurt, anybody.
Exactly, because he even went on the wrong side of the streets in Hollywood, which is a very high pedestrian area, especially with tourists, and it's Thanksgiving week, so it's probably even more traffic in the LA area.
You got a lot of people who are off work this week. As you mentioned, a lot of people out there visiting families, so it's lucky that nobody was hurt during all of this.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it was like a quick, high-speed pursuit of maybe 4 or 5 miles, 6 miles. No, if he went from the Palmdale area to Culver City, that's at least 60 miles.
And I wanted to introduce, I just jumped in with you here, Sylvia. I'm Mark Martinez reporting here. When I was in Las Vegas before I got to Phoenix, I was a helicopter reporter. And so we would be up covering things like this. We didn't get a lot of those chases, but we had a few of them. And you could definitely, with these cameras being as great as they are on our news helicopters these days, and the police helicopters, it's not a good place for these people to try and hide. It looks like he's moving right now. I can't tell exactly what
he's doing
up there, but
I saw the boards on the ground. I was just wondering if he was trying to board up the doors entirely.
That's what it appeared to us when we were watching on a bigger screen. We could see that, we saw him to grab those blocks, and it appeared he might even be trying to sit on the blocks too as well.
Right, I saw that.
And we've got this one view from the chopper here, so I'm not sure if
where police are searching right
they're
now.
Surrounding the outside of this building. Certainly, they've got him pinned in, so they may be trying to wait him out. And the police helicopter usually, in situations like this, is hovering around at a lower altitude than the news helicopters are. So they may even be in contact with this man, talking to him over a loudspeaker, which they've done before, trying to convince him to at least open the door, or maybe even go into a more open area of that roof so that their officers can come up and try to take him into custody, because at this point he really is pinned in. There's nowhere for him to go. He might be realizing that he's desperate, obviously, by trying to block that door.
Right, and it's unclear what even started the chase at this point. All we know is that the high-speed pursuit started and police have been after him.
And now it's sort of a waiting game here as they try to figure out the next step of this plan. But you've got a highly coordinated police department out there. They're used to these types of situations, so they've got a plan in place. And if they don't think this man is an imminent threat, again, they may just try to buy some time here, let him calm down, and try to talk him off of that roof. If they don't think anyone else is in danger also. Right,
because he's on a roof. There's no other people there, so
they may be getting people.
Whether he's armed or not is unclear at this point.
And I'm sure they're probably getting the residents of this building, anyone who may be inside, probably getting them out just for their own safety, at least people that are close to this access point to the roof.
Right.
And just making sure that the building is as locked down as possible, so they don't have anybody who might be caught in any situation that could put them in danger.
Right.
So that's usually how these things work with these departments.
I'm just amazed at how we didn't hear any reports of any injuries up until this. There were just no pedestrian collisions, no other vehicles hit.
And that is always, the risk when you're, especially covering one of these things too. We're watching them as well here in the station, and you kind of hold your breath, especially as they go through intersections, because usually if they're running from police, they're not paying any attention.
They're not stopping at red lights.
No traffic lights. They're not paying attention to any rules of the road, and they are just so dangerous out there. These cars can become unguided missiles when you have somebody that's behind the wheel, just going wherever they can go to get away from the police.
Right. I mean, he even started driving on the wrong side of the road in Hollywood. I'm surprised that didn't, cause any collision there.
It is just very fortunate.
Definitely.
This really is the best outcome that this guy could have hoped for, and also that no pedestrians were hurt. But he's now up there, and as we've been watching, trying to kind of come up with some sort of makeshift barricade to keep them from coming up there. But that's not going to work. You're not going to stop a SWAT team from coming to get you with a couple of cinder blocks and a couple
Right.
pieces of wood. We haven't seen much since we've been focused just on the area where he is. We haven't really seen what's going on down on the streets.
Right.
But I'm sure they've got the yellow police tape up around, setting up some barricades, and the camera's zooming in a little bit more so we can get a look at what he's doing.
It looks like his head
He's
is
kind
down.
of like, it looks like he's slumped
He's hiding,
over.
resting.
He might just be waiting for them to come grab him.
Yeah.
So we're hearing that this pursuit went over 100 miles per hour.
And on the
some
freeways.
Of the freeways.
Yeah. And he went on multiple freeways. I mean, he was on the 14, the 5, the 170, and 101. He switched 4 freeways during this pursuit and then took surface streets on top of that.
So we did just get a closer view. Reporter Mia Garcia just came over and showed us a picture on her phone, and you could see the man with his head in his hands.
And it could be just because he was fleeing on foot, so he must be exhausted. I know that local channels in LA are reporting that he actually reached a water supply on the roof of that building and took a drink of water earlier before all of this happened. So
And again, we don't know too if he may be on something, which is we've seen that a lot in
Yeah.
situations like this. I mean, and I hate to speculate too much, but we just don't have a lot of information, and
Sure.
there's been a lot of things like this that have happened in the past, and it's people who are obviously he's running from the police for a reason, and so now this has all sort of come to an end, and he's kind of pinned in there, and that's when you're in that sort of situation. He did look a little bit desperate, and he just also looked like a man who's realized that this is kind of the end of the run for him, and it's just a matter of time now before they get up there or convince him to come down.
right.
And we're watching this
The waiting game.
Yeah, along with everybody else, live television.
You can never predict it. We don't
Yeah.
know what's going to happen.
And it does, I couldn't see the entire, well, okay, he's on the
Okay,
move
he's
now.
moving now. Where is he walking to?
It looks like he's going back to where he got those original cinder blocks.
Right. It doesn't look like there's anything else on the roof for him to grab.
Is he
Wait,
going to
there's
get some more bricks?
What is that? Are those? He's picked
Yeah,
up
he
something.
picked
Is that a
it.
chair?
No, I think those are 2 more cinder blocks
Oh,
that
they
he
are.
grabbed.
You're right.
So
It looks
We
like he
s-
was just resting and then.
we saw him stack those up by that door,
Yeah.
and I think that's where he's going back to do it again.
Right. I mean, he's obviously trying to not
He's
block the door.
He's trying to build a little wall
Sure.
with those 4 cinder blocks that he has now to try and keep the police officers from coming up there. Yeah, looks like he's just putting them down in front of that door again.
Right. So, for those of you just tuning in, we followed a high-speed pursuit in the Los Angeles area. The driver of the SUV then fled on foot and now is on the top of an apartment complex in the Culver City area.
And for somebody to be driving through, and for quite a while he was driving so erratically and at such high speeds, for them to get him in one spot here without anybody being hurt is very lucky, as we mentioned a couple of times. But I mean, it's really just
Right.
luck.
I mean, he drove on the wrong side of the road, and he was going through major parts of Los Angeles. This isn't suburban Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a very crowded place everywhere. He went on highly traveled freeways, went through highly traveled streets in the Hollywood area into Culver City. Those two cities are not near each other. So he was
Yeah.
obviously traveling, I mean, on major roads to get there. There weren't like neighborhood streets that you could take, even driving on the wrong side of the road at times. So it is very fortunate, like you said, that no one was hurt, no pedestrians were hurt, no other cars were,
And good
hit at all.
perspective from you too, to be able to tell us, as far as the distance. A lot of us don't get out to Los Angeles as much, but
I spent about 10 years there. I went to school out in USC, and I was actually just before this working at NBC in Los Angeles, and so we had a lot of high-speed pursuit action there very regularly.
Oh yeah, that Los Angeles is very well known for it. We don't get as many of them out here. We get them occasionally, but not as frequently as we do out there. Obviously, there's a lot more people in Los Angeles. But
Right.
we saw a wide shot from the helicopter a few seconds ago, and it did show the streets around this, what looked like several apartment complexes in a row.
It looks like he's in a residential area.
And had police lining the streets outside of there.
Right, and it appears that it was an apartment complex near the 10 freeway. So they're in that Culver City area. There's just a whole bunch of apartment complexes.
And typically, the helicopter shot has been trained on this guy, and that obviously for a couple reasons. One, because the news crew's trying to keep an eye on where this guy goes and what he does, but also that we don't usually show live police activity where the officers are around.
Right,
something
because
like
I mean, this is streaming on the internet. If this guy has
Right.
his phone out, he can watch. He could watch us right now. He could be watching the local affiliates,
So that's
trying to make
kind
his
of done to protect
strategy.
the officers on the ground, keep some of their movements a little more secret, it's for their safety, obviously.
Now
They don't know who they're dealing with here.
Now, looking at a closer shot of this guy, it looks like he's kneeling down in the front of the door.
Yeah, it looks like he's kneeling along the
Like he's
the edge of
crouching.
the
He's
door.
not standing.
And we don't know if he knew this building, if he's been to this building, obviously he knew enough to get himself up to the roof, but we don't know
Right.
if this was just a completely
Like if he was just
random
running and saw a
location.
door open, because another thing is most of these doors are secure.
You don't have a
You don't
lock
need a
on.
code or you need a key to get in. You can't just walk into an apartment complex in LA. So it could have been something where he was just running and saw someone leaving a building and just took advantage of that opportunity and got to the roof.
Right, and a lot of these questions we won't really have the answer to until police get a chance to get this guy into custody and ask him what he was thinking, where he was going, why he was running from them to begin with. But
Yeah.
as we've seen so many times before, if you've got, sometimes you can get away from the ground crews, the ground officers who are trying to get behind you, but you will not get away when there's a police helicopter overhead. They'll find you, and that's what has happened here. And now we're just
Waiting it out.
waiting to see what happens here as far as how long it's going to take before there is a resolution to this.
So now we're hearing that it's a property on the 9600 block of Lucerne Avenue. So I'm gonna.
Look up and see exactly what part of
Right.
the city we're talking about here.
It is Culver City, but you take a close look at it to see, Google Street View of the situation. I can take that over here.
So it looks like, as we're looking at it from that Google Street View, a 2-story apartment complex, pretty typical of what you would find in.
So we'll show you
Los
guys what the
Angeles.
outside looks like. That's from Google Street View. You can see the outside of the apartment complex this is the 9600. It's unclear if this is the actual apartment complex. However, we can see that the neighborhood, it's obviously like a residential area.
And that street there, Lucerne, is the one where just a few minutes ago we saw all those police cars out on the street,
Right.
lining the streets in front of the building.
So we can,
And he ditched the car somewhere in that area before running off.
right. So if we just continue to go down this street, you can see there's a lot of apartment.
And it looks like it's that one right there that was on the corner.
What? Right.
still not seeing a lot of activity up on the roof right now. It's just kind of just the guys
just waiting there.
sitting there. And you can see behind it, there's that canal that runs along behind the buildings. And originally it looked like he might be heading towards that direction. It was covered with trees, so it was kind of hard for them to see from above. And then that might have been actually how he got access to that building, from going on that side of the complex, because that's where the police were originally. You saw the helicopter overhead, the police
Right.
helicopter kind of circling in that area.
He's just standing there now.
Yeah, the guy's just standing against the door with his head down. He's had his head down like pretty much the entire time, and now he's got a pile of bricks in front of that door.
Pile of bricks, wood there as well.
And he
It's just
literally is inside what is, you could call a cage almost. It's a gate right as you come out of that roof access area. There's a metal gate that he's kind of inside of right now, and now he's looking up at the helicopters. He's not really making any motions. He's got his hands in his pockets.
This is just a couple blocks away from Sony
yeah.
Pictures, actually, in Culver City. He's not too far from a very busy Culver City area of downtown, where there's a lot of people who are probably out on their lunch break right now.
Yeah, so here he stands against that door up on this rooftop in Culver City. He does have his hands in his pockets. Which, we don't know if he has a weapon. We have no idea at this point. But he's not on any cell phone, so he doesn't seem to be in communication with anybody that we can tell.
Right.
Police helicopter there still circling around, and we just saw that come into view. If people are just tuning in to our to watch this on Twitter, our YouTube page as well, YouTube channel, we're just following what was a high-speed pursuit.
Yep, in Los Angeles, covering, I would say, at least 60 miles of the LA area from Palmdale to Culver City. Multiple freeways, reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour, we're hearing.
And the guy ended up on top of this rooftop in Culver City somehow, finding his way up to the top, trying to now barricade that door against the officers who are surrounding this building at this point, and just kind of waiting to see what happens
next
after this.
I wonder just what's going on through his mind. He can't go anywhere from there.
Well, and that's what we've been noticing too. He's just
when you're on the roof, you're on the roof. That's it.
Yeah, and he's got his head down, and he pretty much, it looked, just reading body language, it looks like a guy who knows that
he's defeated.
got nowhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you mentioned, it doesn't appear like he's on a cell phone, like he's communicating with anyone.
No, just kind of we know he sees the helicopter. He's been looking up at that as it circles around. Streets outside of this complex are barricaded and blocked off by police officers, and they'll get him into custody. It's just
a matter of time.
Right.
So now I'm hearing that we have video of the high-speed pursuit for those of you who missed it. Let's go ahead and grab that now.
Yeah, we'll show you some of the video of the pursuit as it was in progress just not too long ago through the streets of Los Angeles. Here's that video. This is taped from the news helicopter. And we'll put up the live picture of the scene as well, so you can take a look at that up in your upper right corner there. Just in case any activity happens there, we'll of course take that camera and show you what's going on.
Right, so this appears like he's just getting into the Culver City area, because I remember watching this right before, you know, he parked his vehicle and fled on foot.
Yeah, just driving.
It looks like he's going through neighborhoods at this point,
Sure.
through the Culver City area.
And just thankfully nobody's crossing streets or doing anything like that, because
Right.
His only focus at that point is to try to get away from the police. And oftentimes they won't, when they get into neighborhoods like this, the police will kind of back off just a little bit. They don't want to push the person, is what they call it, to drive even worse than they already are. And then they'll let the helicopter follow along and keep a view from above. But yeah, you see him driving that SUV. Looks to me like maybe a Ford Explorer. It's hard to tell from that angle, but driving through these streets shortly before he ended up on top of that roof. And just driving through these residential areas here, and then you saw that police helicopter going through, keeping an eye on him. At this point, the speeds weren't as great as they were during the freeway part of this pursuit, when it got up to about 100 miles per hour. And then that's when you see the suspect driving down that alley between some apartment complexes, being followed closely by the helicopter, and by shortly behind him a little ways is the police department, several patrol vehicles. And then he went through that alley, goes through another one that's across the streets, and actually picking up speed as it goes through that part of that residential area. This thing did go on for quite a while. And then back, whoa, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you see how close that was?
I did. I saw it right when it was happening.
See, that's what we were talking about. Situations like that where just a split second makes a difference.
It's insane.
And
And imagine being the other driver, just driving along your normal day,
yeah,
and nearly
that
being
was-
hit in a high-speed chase.
that was a really close call there. So, just showing you how dangerous these things can actually be.
Right.
And is this where he... Now, it looked like he thought about ditching the vehicle there and then decided to keep on going. And then gets into some traffic.
That's LA.
Yeah. It's amazing that these things can actually go on as long as
With
they do.
traffic, yeah. I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, this chase, I mean, it started in Palmdale, and Palmdale to Culver City is at least 60 miles.
And he is still up there on that roof right now too. We want to let you know we're not we're still keeping an eye on that part as well from another
Right, the video
camera.
playing right now is just from earlier today during the pursuit.
Wondering if could we pop that camera up again, the rooftop camera? Could we pop that one up? No, we don't have that one.
We don't have that right now. We
Okay.
lost signal, but we are planning to get it in soon. We should be getting that feed of the suspected driver soon. In the
But-
meantime, we will play this footage of the chase so you can see just to what extent this high-speed
And we'll
chase
show
went
you
on.
we're keeping an eye on all of this on the rooftop in Los Angeles, and we will have the very latest on this high-speed pursuit coming up tonight on Fox 10 News at 5 o'clock.